Hey guys, and welcome back to World Straight TV. Now I know these tier lists are a bit hack at this stage and I am late to the party.
This party's over.
But you know what? I enjoy doing these videos, so I have another one. Let's get straight into it, guys, starting with the defense. So I've got my bin, I've got my on the fence option, and then I've also got the keep pile as well. And first up, I've got our two right backs. And in Wan-Bissaka, we know exactly what he's all about. He showed us exactly that in that FA Cup final. But for me, I'm still putting him on the fence. Because obviously I don't think United are going to be doing anything to that right back spot this summer. But if the funds were available, we could bring someone else in, a younger option. Then I'm happy to see Wan-Bissaka go. Sue me. Because honestly, his defensive stuff is top. In certain situations, if you wanted to lock down an opposition winger, he's brilliant at it. But the rest of his game, I just see that as being a little bit average. I know people love Wan-Bissaka, and some people are going to disagree with this one. But it's just my opinion. And then next up, also Dalot. I'm going to put him in the keep pile. He's deserving of that starting right back spot. Going into next season, if we got our two right backs being Dalot and Wan-Bissaka, I'd be happy with that, to be honest. We got other issues to sort out now. One of them being the left back spot. And our main left back is obviously Luke Shaw. But I'm going to keep him. I know a lot of people say about his injuries and different things. And yes, obviously it's a problem. But Luke Shaw, when he is playing, is still one of the best left backs around. He was rushed back far too quickly this season. And obviously it ended up ruining the rest of his season then. Frustrating time for him, but it doesn't stop him being a quality player. We have to manage his minutes, but still a top left back. And then next up is Kambwala, a guy who came into obviously the team this year. No one really expected him to see a lot of minutes, but he did end up getting a few games towards the end of the season. And he was very, very good. I'm going to put him in that keep pile, because I still think there's bags of potential in there. What he did up against Liverpool was very, very good. He could do it probably a loan spell rather than obviously staying at the club and not getting many minutes. But I'd keep him and I'd send him out on loan. And next up is Malacia. And I know a lot of people are going to have a go at me for this one. But I'm going to put him on the fence as well. Leaning towards the bin, if anything. But obviously that's harsh. It's not his fault. Obviously with Malacia, he had that big old injury. Talk about some mental health problems that come along with that as well. So we don't really know a lot about it, and that's why I've put him on the fence, because we simply don't know really the nature of his injury right now and whether he can come back and sort of be the player that he was a year ago. Because he looked decent. He came in and obviously had a few minutes with Luke Shaw being in and out, and it looked as if we got a decent option in there for a cut price free as well. But United again sort of messed that up. They said he was coming back in December. He obviously was nowhere to be seen. Hopefully now we can see him back. I'd love to see him back playing for United again and playing at the top level. Obviously, he seems like a guy that obviously you can really get behind, but we're going to have to just wait and see. And then with Martinez, an obvious keep. Injuries have really blighted his time at United, but he's still a top player. Again, showed that in that FA Cup final. And now this is where the rest of the centre-backs come in. With Varane being out, obviously now, we know that obviously it's going to be Martinez, and then now these three as our options. But we're going to have to wait and see who we keep. For me, I'd be selling Lindelof straight away. I don't think he's United quality. He's shown it years upon years now. He has some decent games, and then other ones he just goes completely missing. I'd happily just see him go now and see United move him on. With Johnny Evans, I've got to put him on the fence. There's talk now about United offering him a new contract, and if it's for a very cut price deal, obviously the wages are not going to be high. He's got a bags of experience. And to be honest, last year, he did very well for us. There's no doubt about it. When he was asked to come in, he played more than what we thought he was going to, but he was actually a decent option. So, as sort of a 5th, 6th choice centre-back, who can really quarrel about it? And then now with Maguire. And I know a lot of people are going to cry about it, but I'm going to put him in that keep pile. Because with Lindelof and Maguire, I'd rather keep Maguire. Simple as that. With Varane going now, you can't afford to let Maguire and Lindelof go. It's going to be one of them. And I choose Maguire to stay over Lindelof. Simple as that.
Oh, really?
And now on to our midfield, guys. And an area where yet again we need to see some improvement. And yet again we need to make some signings. It's honestly boring now.
Every year.
But let's look at what United can do now in terms of the squad for next season. And first off with Mason Mount, a signing which didn't really make a lot of sense. But there's no doubt we still haven't seen the best of him. I'd keep him around. And then with Bruno Fernandes, I've been defending him all season long. He's had a top season, despite it not being one of his best in a United shirt. Towards the end of the season, he came on and performed excellently for United. Big defender of him, always have been. He's my guy. And then next up with Kobe Mino, another guy, easy enough, keep him. Absolute superstar. And now we go into the sort of questionable ones. And Hannibal, first off, he went out on loan, and obviously you haven't really heard much of him. He didn't really get a lot of minutes. He was struggling. So now he's left in a little bit of limbo. But for me, I think it's time now for United to call it a day, because what else are you going to do? Are you going to send him out on loan again? Like, he's not going to get minutes in the first team. I love his energy. I love the application he's got. And if he does stay around United, you know he's going to bring that. But I just think now it's time to call it a day. And then next up with McTominay, I know United did their best to try and get rid of him, obviously before last season. But this season was one of our top scorers, performed excellently. And obviously you can see where you get the best out of him. Getting him making those runs into the box. Now we've actually sort of profiled him correctly, really. And for me, I'd keep him. I think he's a very good squad option. Obviously a player that's come through the ranks at United. You're not going to get a ton of money for him. And I don't think he's going to quibble not being in the starting 11. I'd keep him round. And then next up with Van der Beek, another easy one. I mean, we've got to get rid of this guy sooner rather than later. Obviously his wages and the fact that he just hasn't really performed at any of the loan spells that he's had has just hindered his options away from United. But we're going to have to see what we can do now. And then with Amrabat, this one, I'm going to put him on the fence because I don't think we saw the best of him last season. I do think we should have seen him more. Towards the end of it, we did start to see him and he looked good. Again, FA Cup final, very solid performance. He's obviously going to be a cheap option, depending on what other signings United can do in that centre midfield department. If there's someone else out there for a similar price, then I'd happily do that. I'm not begging for Amrabat to stay, but if United want to do that deal for a low price, then maybe he's a decent option for the next few seasons, but we're going to have to just wait and see. And then with Casemiro, who would have thought now we're actually begging for Saudi to come in and do something for us? Because the first season, Casemiro was excellent. Last season, really struggled. And for United now, I think we do need to try and cash in. Like, I don't think you're going to see much more from Casemiro now. We need to start getting some younger players into this squad. And I do think it's time for United to try and get some money for him. And then lastly with Eriksen, I think Eriksen's been excellent for United. That first season he came in alongside Casemiro did really, really well. But I do think last season you saw that the legs starting to go a little bit. And there's no doubt still some quality there. And I don't think the system helped him at all last season. But I do think United need to be moving on now, because I do think we need to get some fresh blood in here. And we need to get some more mobile players, especially if Ten Hag is going to stay and try and utilise that system that he had last season. And then lastly with the attackers, guys. And starting off our starting striker. Did a video just recently surrounding Rasmus Højlund and whether United need to be looking for a new number 9. But I'm backing this guy, keeping him all day long. Thought he had an excellent first season and he exceeded my expectations, really. And then next up with Rashford, another one you lot are going to cry about. You're going to say that obviously he doesn't work hard for this team. He doesn't care about United. Oh, he's PR Rashford. Keep all day. Still think he's one of our best attackers. Who are you going to replace him with? Homegrown player. Obviously, yes, people quibble about the wages, but they've come down now. We're not in the Champions League. So I'm still thinking that he's one of our better players, and I still think that he really cares about this club. And then next up with Sancho, a guy who Dortmund obviously claim that they really love, but is heavily doubtful we're going to get a fee for him now. Even if Ten Hag leaves, it's very doubtful that he's actually going to come back and play for United again. The guy, obviously, there's a lot of debate around whether he was hard done by or whether, obviously, he disrespected the club. Either way, get him gone. Obviously, the trouble is with him and the next guy on my list that who's going to buy him? They're on such high wages that United just simply can't get rid of him. With Anthony, I'd happily get rid of him, but it just doesn't look likely because of the amount of money United are spending on him. No one's really going to want to buy him and no one's going to match his wages. So why are they going to leave? That's the trouble that INEOS now are trying to deal with. And now with Garnacho, he played so many minutes last season. That can't continue next year. Not because he's not good enough, But it's just because he's such a young player. You saw him burn out at times. Top player though. Definitely one that can keep improving, and I'm so excited to see him next season playing for United again. And now with Pellistri, this is where it starts to get a little bit difficult, because what do you do with him? I don't think we saw the best of him at United. We threw him in games, obviously up against Brighton, and we're up against Bayern Munich last season, and you looking at it saying, oh, he's not good enough. How do you really know? He's still coming on. He scored, I think, just last night for Uruguay, and he still obviously played a few games. We loaned him out, and he obviously playing, I think it was bottom of the table in the Liga, and I just think he's had an hard time of it. We still don't really know too much about him. But what do you do with him now? Would you send him out on loan again? Do you keep him? Like, what do you do? It might be best for United to cash in and just say that, yes, he might just not be good enough. But we'll have to just wait and see. And then now with Ahmad, another guy that we criminally just underused last season. Ten Hag made his excuses, and yes, Ahmad did have an injury, but he should have played a lot more than what he did. Playing Anthony over this guy is another criminal act, but happily keep Ahmad in there, have him as that right-wing option. Whether we bring in the likes of Elise, someone like that, to sort of chop and change with Ahmad on the right-hand side, I think that could be a very good option. We're going to have to just wait and see. But Ahmad, they see more of him next season now. But there we are, guys. Try to make that as quick as I possibly can. Let me know down in the comments down below whether you agree or disagree with any of the decisions I made in this tier list. As always, guys, drop a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new around here. Stay tuned for more videos, and I'll see you in the next one.